Hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about osmotrophy, which is a very important part of fungi metabolism. When it comes to gardening, you hear a lot of different things. For instance, that mushroom compost is very important, that you can use it as fertilizer, which is true. Um, some people grow edible or psychoactive mushrooms, which I suppose are still edible after since you are eating them. Um, but a lot of people don't really talk about this very important part of fungi growth, and that is that this is how they eat. You might be wondering to yourself, well, how is that? How is this liquid important in any way? Well, this happens to be the extract liquid of a couple of mushrooms that I'm working on. What it is just the enzymes that are secreted by all fungi, and it's how they break down their food. If it's a wood rot fungus, then it's going to. So here's how it works. A fungus will get into the substrate that it wants, whether it's wood or straw or soil, or maybe it's a parasite of a plant. Either way, what it does is it gets into the substrate and it starts to make hyphae, which in turn become mycelium, and that mycelium, doesn't have a mouth. I don't know if you ever thought about it like that, but fungi don't have mouths, and so how do they eat? This vial that I have with me is the collected enzymes of, I would have to say, it's about a couple of days worth of um, fluid from Elixir that I'm growing. And if you didn't know, I am growing Elixir, so I'll put a link to that video in this video, and you can just watch it whenever you like. I feel like this is an often neglected aspect of fungi growth in general, and perhaps edible mushrooms in particular, because if you're growing mushrooms of any kind, this is how they eat. And if they're wood rot fungus, then that's how they break down the wood. And if you're growing mushrooms in a jar, you might have noticed that you'll get sort of yellow or orange coloration. And some people might mistake that as a contaminant, and that's not actually the case. It's this usually. And so these enzymes, they break down the food, and then they reabsorb that food because it's been broken down into usually sugars of some sort. And so after they've broken them down, they reabsorb them into the mycelial network. Another important fact to keep into consideration is that these enzymes are going to be salty, and so is mushroom compost for that matter. Is this bad? Not inherently. It just depends on the soil that you're using. Sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's going to be detrimental, depending on the plants, because it's all about pH. pH is what allows plants to absorb nutrients. So if it's a high pH and the plant can't do high pH, then you're going to have a problem. But if you're not worrying about plant growth, then it's less of an issue. But if you're trying to grow mushrooms and plants together and not ecto or endomycorrhizae, then that's going to be something that you should think about with mushroom compost and what happens after the organic matter has been used up. One more thing I wanted to note is that Ganoderma is a white rot fungus, and a lot of fungi are also white rot fungi. What this means is that they use their enzymes, this stuff, to break down wood, in particular lignin. Lignin is very important in determining whether a wood is softwood or hardwood or really, really hardwood, because the lignin is the thing that makes that so hard. So what do I mean about lignin carcasses and tree carcasses, and what does this all mean, and why is that important? Well, because you don't have a lot of organisms eating tree bark. I mean, there's a few, but not a whole lot. And there's not a lot of things eating trees besides fungi. So that's kind of their role in ecology. I mean, among other things. But white rot fungi in particular are really well known for decomposing wood. And that's why they do that, because that's their niche. They eat wood and lignin, and they break it down, and they eat what they want, and they get rid of what they don't want. Or at least, rather, they just don't absorb what they don't want. And then other organisms, like plants and um, some microbes and bacteria, will take what's left. And that's kind of how the cycle sort of continues. So that's why they're so important to the recycling of organic material into the environment from whence it came. If you don't do that, then you're going to have a whole lot of lignin piling up and nothing to recycle it. So you can see why this would be so important. And you can see why this stuff is so important. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, whether it's about my Elixir or this liquid that comes out of all mushrooms that we should all be thankful for, or ecto and endomycorrhizae, or the plants that I'm growing or my garden. Visit my Facebook page and my Twitter account, though I don't tweet that much. If you have any questions, leave a comment or go to that page, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if I can't answer them, I will find somebody who can, or direct you to a place where you can get that information. So I'll see you later, I suppose. Thanks for watching.